Community connections, CKMS. Local sounds, thoughts, passions, and success. Celebrate local, your neighbor's got a story to tell. Community connections, CKMS.
Happy Monday, Waterloo Region. You're listening to CKMS Community Connections for the 8th of June, 2026. My name is Bob Jonkman. In the studio with me is the man, the enigma himself, Raoul Santodomingo. Hello, Raoul.
Hi, Bob. Pleasure to be here.
We'll be talking to Raoul in just a bit. Going to listen to something else from Ponysapien. This is Extended Heat Warning. It's getting that time of year again. Ponysapien from a couple of years ago. A track that I thought would have won the award for Best Single of the Year if CKMS had been handing out such awards at the time, but unfortunately that didn't happen. In the studio with me is Raoul Santodomingo himself. Never thought I'd get to meet Raoul Santodomingo, so...
Well, I like to keep things fairly mysterious, and one of the ways I tend to do that, I think, is all of the songs they vary quite a bit from one to the next one, and even the projects I sometimes have different names for as well. Just kind of whatever sort of strikes my fancy, I sort of go with, and and I'm not deliberately keeping a low profile.
No.
That's just the way it's turned out. But anyway, I'm very pleased to be here today.
Glad to have you here. You've been making music for a while now. I mean, I first ran into, I think the Raoul Santodomingo Experience back in, I don't know, 2022 maybe, 2021?
Yeah, and I think it actually goes back much farther than that. The first group of recordings, I started some of those in 2008. And so that took a little bit while to kind of get things sort of going. And in terms of just the technology catching up with what I wanted to do as well. And suddenly, it's very easy to record. It's very easy to put things out. And so I kind of had a bunch of things in the back burner for quite a while. And that's where that sort of came from. Mm-hmm. And it was on the heels of some other projects that had sort of fizzled out with some other folks. And it was, a bit of time that I had to kind of put things together and kind of do things the way I wanted to and bit by bit and kind of, control things a little bit more.
Of all the albums that you've got in a library, I think there's only one duplicate band name in there, the Raoul Santodomingo Experience.
Yeah, it's funny because every time I have a collection of songs, and that tends to be why I've been putting out these EPs, because I'll get 4 or 5, maybe 6 songs in one sort of recording session of a couple of months or whatever, and I don't know if I lose interest or what happens exactly, but then all of a sudden the next batch sounds completely different. I think, well, I might as well just have a different name.
Right.
And so that's sort of how that seems to go for me.
And so the track we just played, Extended Heat Warning, by a band called Ponysapien.
Yeah.
That's you too.
That's me too. Yeah. And that group of songs seemed to go together, and I thought that name was always kind of funny in my mind. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, well, why not? It's not, it's not like the first sort of incarnation had a massive following, so I wasn't going to disappoint or lose anybody. And I thought, well, here's a brand new chance to throw something fresh out there, and that's how that one came together.
Right. I managed to piece it together because there was a track called Ponysapien on one of the Raoul Santodomingo albums.
Yeah, I was trying to be clever initially that I thought, well, I'll name the next project after a song from the previous record. And I tried that a couple of times, then I just couldn't seem to continue that.
Okay.
And it just led to some confusion doing searches as well. It's like, was this the song? Is this the artist? What is this exactly?
It does, but it led me to piece the two things together.
Right.
And so giving appropriate credit where credit is due. So I'm going to ruin your enigma here.
Oh, that's okay.
You do publish under your own name.
I do, yeah. Yeah, so my name's Jeff Appel, my real name. Anyway, but that secret's out. I do that both for SOCAN reasons and other sorts of publishing reasons that you're supposed to use a real sort of name. So if any videos that you look up or anything like that, of course it has my name associated with it. And that's okay. But my nom de plume, I just kind of came up with that one, I don't know, probably in my earliest 20s or even earlier. Just one of those things when you're in a band, sometimes you want to have a fun name that isn't really you and allows you to kind of, maybe even behave a little bit differently or just kind of go outside of yourself. And that's sort of where that came from, and it just stuck with me. And I thought, well, why not go for it for its own sort of sake?
It's a different performance.
Yeah, that's right.
For every album.
Yeah, it's like a new hat.
Why Raoul Santodomingo to start with?
I'm not even sure where I came up with that concept. I know there was a bass player in a band I like called Big Black, and he's called Santiago Durango.
Oh, that's it.
I think I must have kind of been influenced by that somehow. That's all I can really think about when I kind of go back to the origins of that. But probably nothing deeper than that.
Yeah. My son says that you can always recognize some names. There's the 3-syllable British actor, Benedict Cumberbatch. So you can always recognize
I guess that's true,
people
isn't it?
by the cadence of their name more than you can by the name itself. And so Raoul Santodomingo.
It flows nicely.
It does. It does. You've just released an album as Raoul Santodomingo.
Yeah, and that's even some of those songs, actually, they go back to 2008, that sort of period as well. I played in a band called Firefly for about 4 or 5 years, and that kind of fell apart as bands tend to, and I wanted to kind of do something completely different, so I got a whole batch of songs going, and it was when, at least for me, home recording, especially with a digital workstation, was kind of in its infancy, at least for my experience level, so it took a long time to really get confident enough to really make the songs sound the way I wanted, and so I had a lot of songs I kind of recorded and added different instruments to, that kind of thing, and most of them just sort of sat there for a long time. And then it became much easier and easier to just get these things sounding the way I wanted. I got better at editing and all of those sorts of things, and finally had them ready to release. And this last batch, this is the final original Raoul stuff, and so I cobbled together 4 more songs that I thought sounded pretty good and had a good shot, and there they are.
So it's really a collection of long dormant material.
Oh, it is, for sure.
Yeah.
And the one song on that latest one called Bungalow, that's one I've tried to get to sound good for like 20 years. And I think it sounds good now, but I mean, there was lots of things the way I recorded it. The bass was a little bit too dominant, a little too heavy, and I just didn't quite know how to have it sit right in the mix and different sorts of things like that. And I've gotten better at using a scalpel, I think, and just kind of getting rid of some of the excesses. Because initially on, anything that sounded cool, I would include in a recording. But as I've kind of done this a bit longer, I can kind of just get it down to its bare essentials and find the song that's in there with all the clutter.
In one of the descriptions, I think you mentioned the bombastic bass sounds of Raoul Santodomingo.
I was looking for a pretty good sound bite when sending these things out to stations. And I thought, that sounds pretty good. Most of them are very bass dominant. That's my primary instrument.
Okay.
The other ones I kind of throw in to just add some color and kind of flesh things out. But I'm not as confident on the other instruments.
Right. Electric bass or upright?
Electric.
Electric bass?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you play upright?
No, I've always wanted to give that a shot, though.
Okay. Okay.
That's a lot of money
gear.
just to try it out.
Yeah,
But they look really cool.
Zip over to Longham McQuaid and
Yeah.
just try one out for a bit.
I was at a gig once, and there was another bass player who was playing a stand-up bass. He said, as soon as you start to get a little bit older, you're going to want to get a stand-up bass, so you don't have to carry that thing around. You just lean against it. And I think I'm almost at that point. So.
Right. Yeah. You said that a lot of the Raoul Santodomingo pieces came together when the recording equipment improved. And
Yeah.
do you find that that's cheapened music overall? Everybody can produce a song now?
Absolutely.
It has?
Yeah, I think it has in some ways. I mean, there's still lots of diamonds that are there that you can find, of course, but I think it's never been easier for someone to throw together some songs and release it in some format, and suddenly it's on Spotify and all of that. And I've certainly benefited from that. But I think it's my advantage, I think, is having done this for a fairly long time, is that I'm more concerned about it being a good song before I'll even send anything out there or release it. So I think, there's going to be more stuff of middling sort of quality for sure, but if you're, really care about your product, you can still get a really good recording and quite easily put it out there.
I have to admit that Waterloo region is a hotbed for really good quality music. There's a lot of musicians out here producing a lot of very good
for
music.
sure.
And it's all well produced. I was talking to somebody about putting material into our library, and you want to listen to it to sort of vet it, make sure that it's good, and it almost always is. I think in all the time, the hundreds of tracks I've added to the library, there's maybe one or two clunkers.
Yeah, the quality, it's a very high level these days and fairly accessible for most people. Instead of having to go to a high-priced studio and pay for those kinds of expenses, you can really get a good sound at home.
Yeah. You mentioned Bungalow.
Yeah.
One of the tracks on the new album. I'd like to play that.
Cool.
Any more background on it?
Not particularly. That one actually had vocals, a
Another
vocal
one with
track
vocals.
initially.
Oh my goodness.
But I took the vocals out because that's one of the things when I was doing my editing, I realized it's just not quite up to the standard I want. I didn't want to re-record anything from that era. So it's all the original stuff, so I could only really take things away. And that's one thing I thought I'm just going to remove that, and it turned out to be a much better song overall.
So on the new album, but scraped off the cutting room floor.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. This is Bungalow by Raoul Santodomingo Experience. The bombastic bass sounds of Raoul Santodomingo playing bungalow. I have Raoul Santodomingo in the studio with me, Jeff Appel.
Hi, everybody.
Interesting instrumentation on that. Started off with a bass and then another bass.
Yeah, and sometimes there's three.
Oh.
I think on this one, that little synth kind of sound was actually a bass too. And it's mainly, that's my primary instrument, and that's the thing I'm most comfortable with in terms of, playing and recording. I feel like I more or less know what I'm doing with that particular instrument.
Okay.
With the guitar, I'm okay as a guitar player, but what I tend to do is sort of a collage approach. So once I have the bass and the drums kind of the way I want them, and they usually come first, I usually just start with a basic sort of drum machine drum track that I like, and I might add some extra rhythm bits in there later on, and I'll just play along and see what happens. And once I have the bass down the way I'd like to hear it, and then I'll throw some guitar down. And oftentimes I'll just look for a cool guitar sound. I'll play sometimes, 10, 12 tracks of just improvising and whatever else. And then I'll go through and keep the best bits. I'll keep hacking out stuff that just isn't quite working and see what's left. And oftentimes I'll have things that are layered over top of one another that weren't intended but sound amazing. And so then I'll kind of keep that. So the only downside is I can never really replicate that in a live sort of setting because it just was all pieced together in that way.
Right.
And then keyboards, I'll just kind of add what I can do. I'm not really a keyboard player, but I'll see what I can kind of add for a bit of flavor in there and to flesh things out.
Some good sounds in there too. Something that I recognize as a Hammond B3, which is one of my favorite instruments.
Yeah, I always go for those kinds of classic keyboards like that, or a Wurlitzer or a Rhodes, or the settings I like to use the most. They're also fairly forgiving, I think, for a newer kind of player.
Possibly, yeah.
But yeah, so I was pretty happy with the way that one turned out. That was one I worked on for a long time to kind of get the sound just the way I wanted it. A lot of it involved just turning down the bass, which is something that's not one of my instincts to do, but I had to do that. Yeah.
This is a song without any vocals at all. You said it started off with vocals.
It did, and that's when I thought, well, songs should have vocals, because most bands I've played in the past, there's always been a singer, and that's just part of a normal sort of song's, instrumentation and so on. But it just didn't seem to be a very natural thing for me, and I would try to, would feel forced and just didn't quite sit right. And I'm relatively okay with my voice. It wasn't so much that an issue, but it's even writing lyrics that I thought had any sort of value. I just have some difficulty with that. And so just instrumental seemed to be the way to go for me, and that's, it's worked out fairly well.
Okay. And on these tracks, the Raoul Santodomingo Experience is all you.
It's 90%, 95% me.
Oh.
I've got a couple occasional guests in there, on vocals, a couple spots, and keyboards on a couple different things. The ones that we've played so far, that's all me. Okay. And occasionally, I some of the Ponysapien stuff, I've got a trumpet player on there. Oh. And so that's a real human man playing trumpet. It's not a synth thing.
Okay.
And actually, his name's Matt Morris, so you might know him. He's the local snow sculptor. You probably...
Oh, I've met that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Matt's fantastic. He taught with me at school as well, so we've been friends for a long time. And he's great to work with. I'll just send him what I'm working on, even if it's not completed, and he'll do the same thing. He'll send back about 7 or 8 trumpet tracks. And that's one of my favorite things to go through. I add reverb to all of them because that sounds cool. And then just kind of take all the bits that I like and layer some things over top that aren't quite expected. And that's been a great collaboration. Okay. So any extra sounds, it tends to be him.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. And he's played a bit of keyboard occasionally, but it's mostly just the trumpet.
Okay. But you have got some recordings with you as a member of a group. Yes.
There's a couple things kicking around. Initially, back in the very late 80s at CKMS, actually, recorded the original at the university's campus station. I was in a band called the Has-Beens from Outer Space. I'm not sure why that name came to be, but we recorded something in the studio there, actually, a cassette. That's how we did it back in those days, kids. Yeah. And then after that was a band called Napoleon Blown Apart. And that's more of a punk rock kind of thing. It was pretty loud and furious, that kind of thing, and had a bunch of cassettes mostly recorded at CKMS as well.
All right.
And then kind of went down a bit more of a country kind of vein with a band called Firefly.
Right.
And so we had a couple CDs with that outfit.
So Firefly will be adding to the library in short order.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So the different genres.
Yeah. I don't know. And I think the underlying current, I'm sure, and you notice this too when you've been playing a few things, is that there's a certain sound. And you think, okay, well, I know who's doing that. So no matter where I kind of go with it, it still sounds like me, which is kind of cool. And I've got a couple other things in the works as well. One is more of a improv kind of thing where the drummer I played with in some of those older bands, he'll send me drum tracks and I'll just kind of play some bass to it. But it tends to be a bit more freeform, almost jazz and very experimental and all over the place. Nothing really seems to get repeated. And I'll throw some guitar on that as well. And so that's got about 4 songs for that. Then another one that's more of an old school kind of punk rock record where it's really loud, aggressive guitars and everything. So I start with the guitars on that one, then out of the bass. So it's a bit of a different approach. But yeah, I guess I like a lot of different things. And, and maybe it is the short attention span too. Well, I don't know.
I don't know. It produces some good music.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it's fun. Keeps it fresh.
Ou de Fait, that's one of your later albums as well. That's more than just you.
Yes, that one that's with my original drummer from back in the other recordings, and he actually had a show at CKMS in high school. And so when we were in high school together, I would go and visit him at the station. That's how we kind of started hanging out quite a bit, then playing in bands together and so on. But every once in a while, we worked together. And so with that one, sometimes I would send him a drum track, a recorded drum track, and I would play some bass over it. He would replace that with him playing drums. And a couple other songs, he just had some improvised drums and sent them to me, and then I would just kind of play on top of that. And he kind of bounce it back and forth. He's got a great ear for production as well, so he's done that.
That's all recently created music then?
Yes, that's all fresh stuff.
This is not the stuff from years ago then?
No, that's probably within the last 3 to 5 years, so still not super recent, but not bad.
Okay. I'd like to play something from Ou de Fait. Anything that you think would be appropriate for the time of day? One of my favorites is, So We Formed a Committee to Discuss the Problem.
Well, it's a great title, I can tell you that. Yeah, sure, that's great.
Okay, let's have a listen to that. Ou de Fait with Jeff Appel on vocals. Yes?
I don't know if there are vocals on this one.
No, okay.
I don't know what's on this one.
Okay, have a listen.
I'm too prolific, I can't remember.
Ou de Fait, a song called So We Formed a Committee to Discuss the Problem. Now, where does a title like that come from?
I think it might come from another band. I don't know if it's an album title or a song title or what it was exactly, and called No Means No from Victoria. And it was just this interesting sort of way to put this together. And just having played in bands and worked with other people, sometimes it feels like you do need to have a committee to get the simplest things done. And so it's more or less a comment on that sort of way of doing business. Some things that should be a very easy decision or a non-decision. We have to discuss things, kick it around, come to a conclusion. What can we all agree on? And everyone's been in meetings like that where you think, let's just do this thing.
Quite recently.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it was sort of alluding to, is that whole mind-numbing process where we should just be able to agree to get something done.
Right. I remember seeing the blurb that you sent out when you distributed the album. And I remember thinking that this is a different sound from both Raoul Santodomingo and from Ponysapien.
Yeah.
But on purpose, of course.
Oh, on purpose, yeah. And I think it really does come from having more of a firm collaboration involved. And just because I wanted to have some real drums on it. I mean, I like the way I've done the drums in the other one. I had a great drum machine, some really cool sounds. And, you can layer things and all of this. But this is a much more responsive thing. And this is a drummer, Jim Burek is his name. And so I played with him since I was in high school. And I'm almost done teaching high school now, so it's been quite a long time. And so I could really anticipate what he's going to do, even though he sent me the drum tracks for the most part. And, we weren't playing in the same room together, but I know instinctively where he's going to go next. And so I was able to play and do a lot of the bass work in one or two takes.
Okay.
Just kind of playing along and just kind of figuring stuff out and thinking, okay, I know this sound, I know what he's going to do next, and then I'm going to get there, and then away we go. And so having finished that sort of part, then I sent a whole bunch of guitar tracks to him as I explained in my earlier process and let him kind of select some of the things. Right. Usually I do all of the editing. I did most of it on this, but gave him some leeway with that. Okay. And then he's very good at the production end, so he's able to really put some cool guitar effects on and take it in some different directions that I wasn't really expecting. But I think that's the best way a collaboration should be, is that you come up with something that neither of you could really complete on your own. It's a third sort of thing, which is always kind of cool and surprising. Right.
So with all the production work that goes into your songs.
Oh yeah, there's a huge amount of stuff. Yeah. The recording I can do relatively quickly, it seems anyway, and do my editing and that kind of idea, but the production is really where you take a bit more time to get things just exactly how you want it.
Okay. That seems the opposite way to what I would expect. I would think that most of the work goes into the performance part of it, and it's just a matter of assembling the various tracks and you're done. Yeah,
I would agree. I think with my sort of process, it's just, I don't know if it's not necessarily confidence, but I think I've become very good at knowing when a thing is a thing. So if I play a bunch of different tracks and all of a sudden, okay, that's something, and I'll keep that part, and I'll go back and maybe try something else for the other parts. But I'm pretty good at recognizing when something is worth keeping, even with my guitar work or anything else. Like I'll know, all right, that's what I want, this part. I don't know how I did it, didn't really plan for it, but I can see that. And so, even if I don't always know where I'm going in terms of structure, I always recognize it when I see it.
Okay. So, not knowing how a song will end from the time that you started, when you have the songs with the vocals, with lyrics, how does that integrate? Do you do the lyrics first and set them to music, or do you have music that you add lyrics to? Are you a poet with music or a musician with words?
Well, usually musician with words. So I'll get the song down generally first, and then if I try to think of some words that might work, I'll kind of throw those in as well. I might have an idea in advance for lyrics, but very rarely. Okay. Mine tend to be kind of juvenile rhyming lyrics, so it doesn't always work that way in advance. But if I have the music down, sometimes I'll think, all right, this could use a vocal. Generally, though, I don't bother.
Okay.
So I have to really have something in mind for that
and
to go forward.
With many instrumental tracks,
yeah,
which on a radio station is kind of convenient because they help fill in the gaps in other programming. So
yeah, for sure.
Musicians who send us instrumental tracks get played a lot more often than the ones who just send us vocals.
Yeah, it's funny when I send them out, I often wonder how that's going to be received at stations when they see, it's an instrumental, whether it's going to get the same kind of scrutiny as some others, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But it's always fun to see where things end up.
Yeah. Putting so much work into the production aspect of your songs, does that give you any ability to perform live?
I'd say probably not. Not that I wouldn't do it. I'd have to have the right group of players. But
Well, sounds like you've got a drummer,
Yeah.
a keyboard player, a trumpet player.
we don't all live in proximity, however. But
Oh.
I would certainly play with another band or anything like that would come up. Of course, I enjoyed playing live a lot when I did that in different outfits. That just hasn't been something that's been on the table too much recently.
Yeah, so there's no current Raoul Santodomingo band.
No. It's just me. But I could see maybe having something based on some of those songs, but we'd have to see. You have to be more of an improvised kind of thing, I think. But
Okay.
yeah,
When I invited you out here, I thought that you might be able to do a live on-air performance. But you said you had some other things in the works, and anything you can reveal?
well, just some of my other projects, as I mentioned, just I got a couple EPs that are kind of working their way through. There's a couple more things to be done with those. But yeah, in terms of a live sort of performance, I'm not really sure how I would do that, other than have some pre-recorded stuff and play along with it. But I should try to think about some way to incorporate that, perhaps, because that is something I definitely miss, is playing in front of people.
When's the last time you played in front of a live audience?
At one of our school assemblies.
Ah.
But those are almost the extent of my gigs these days, are assemblies and things like that. But I guess not in front of people for probably about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years maybe.
A paying audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because with the band Firefly that I mentioned before, the main singer, songwriter, his name is Neil Little, and he plays around locally a little bit as well. And so we got an outfit together with the same drummer I've been talking about, called the Chrome Hearts, and so we would back him in some of his performances. And so we had a couple of gigs around, a few in Toronto and different places like that. So it was nice to play out and do that kind of thing once in a while. But yeah, that's definitely hasn't been something I've done much of lately.
Yeah. You mentioned retirement from your teaching career. Might that be an incentive to start up a live band?
I don't see why not. So I find that enough time to do all these crazy things while working, so I'm sure that'll only increase.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too. I always find that music is something you can do for your entire life. Like, it's such a great hobby, pastime, whatever you want to call it, passion. It's something that from a young age until you're ancient. You just keep on playing. There's no real limit on that kind of thing, which is really cool.
When did you start to play?
I took some guitar lessons probably when I was maybe 11 or 12, but it didn't really take.
Yeah,
But then
that happens a lot.
It does. But then in high school with my drummer friend and some others, it's just something we really wanted to do, and the goal is to play someplace once, and we've gone well beyond that. But just just those kind of early goals, and watching the Partridge Family and things like that. He's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. So if you were to set up a band again, would you write new music for that, or would you try to adapt some of the existing recordings for live performances?
I think probably harvest some of the original or existing stuff. I think stealing from yourself is a perfectly legitimate way of moving forward. I have no problem with that. I've recycled things my whole life, not always intentionally, but you have a certain style and certain skill set, and you're bound to sort of repeat a few things or copy a couple ideas you had in the past. But I think it'd have to be mostly new material based on the people you're playing with, because I would only be controlling one aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you collaborate on the songwriting with somebody?
Oh yeah, and I've always done that in any band that I've been in. Like, I'll come up with something, someone else will throw something else in, and I always think that's such a cool thing to do, especially with, you get some pretty good players and people with good ideas. You never know what you're going to come up with.
Right.
Way more than you could on your own.
Right.
If you want to do it on your own, you should be a solo performer, I think.
That's difficult too. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you are planning on doing live performance, you don't have to get into the business aspects of the music stuff. You have to
Right,
book
right.
gigs and dole out the money between the players and
Yeah,
get
that's
money in
true.
the first place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a hard business to get into with original music,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people, a lot of venues hire bands with the expectation that they'll be doing cover songs.
Yes, that's
And
right.
When they start playing their own material, there's disapproval all around.
Oh yeah, that's
That's
a
really
whole
too
thing.
bad.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
A lot of people just want the entertainment rather than see something new and unique.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to play another song.
sure.
Something from Ponysapien.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I've got something queued up here called Brazilian Opportunities.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. And well, it's a great title. I shouldn't be so self-congratulatory. I think I saw that title. It was on. I don't know. We were watching a bunch of black and white shows at home during COVID. It was either on the Donna Reed show or it was on Bewitched. I can't remember what, but it was the name of an episode. I thought, that's fantastic. That's a song title right there.
Okay.
I didn't know what it was about anymore, but that's where it came from.
Watched a lot of those shows myself, but I don't think I've ever paid any attention to the episode
I
titles.
know, and it's like, what is that?
Yeah.
It just struck me.
Okay. This is Ponysapien. This is an older recording then, 3-4 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, called Brazilian Opportunities. Brazilian Opportunities by Ponysapien, written and performed by Raoul Santodomingo, also known as Jeff Appel, who's in the studio with me.
And that one I had a little bit of help on, I will admit. It's still mostly me, but as I mentioned, the trumpet is Matt Morris, our local snow sculptor. And the keys at the beginning, that's a sample that I used. And then I had it sent it to another friend named James French, and he actually did a little bit of extra keys on there as well to kind of match that. And I would piece it all together and have that all kind of edited the way I'd want to and layer the horns and so on. So there was a little bit of help with that. It was all kind of done, and then I sent it to my collaborators to add their bits to it. And
I got the impression that was xylophone, marimba, something
it sounds
like that.
amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do with, I don't know, pre-sampled.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. You just hook up the keyboard, dial in the sound you want, and it's great.
Yeah. Does that detract from original instruments?
I don't know. I think it's very handy when that's not your primary instrument, I can tell you.
Yeah.
I don't see it as being too much different than, I don't know, like with any bass or guitar, you can get different effect pedals. At least that's how it used to be played, right? Or different processing. So I think there's always been a little bit of that. But, no one can really afford to have every single kind of keyboard or every single kind of whatever. So I think it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're talking to me about your process for judging the quality of of your recordings.
Yeah, like with that, I kind of do it in a bit of an old school way now, I suppose. But even though I'm recording on a DAW or a digital workstation, you can listen to it with any kind of Bluetooth device in your headphones while you're recording or whatever it is. What I try to do then is listen to it on some speakers at home to kind of see what it sounds like. But all speakers are different. So I'll try it on another Bluetooth set in a different environment. And my main thing that I like to do is just download things, put it onto a CD. And my car is a bit older and still has a CD player and a pretty good stereo. So I always find that that's my final check. And so I'll just download whatever my latest mix is and burn it onto a disc. Then I'll listen to it in the car pretty obsessively for, months, it seems, and just kind of make notes then. Okay, what needs to be boosted? What needs to be kind of put in the left stereo field a bit? What, is there a buzz somewhere that's driving me crazy? Because my goal is to make sure that there's nothing on there that I'm going to regret. So once it's released, that's pretty much it.
Right.
Because if there's any sort of thing that I'm waiting to hear, because I know here's where I came in earlier, here's where I did this, or here's where the notes a bit off, or whatever it might be. If that's left in there, that's all I'm going to listen for the entire song. Right. So I have to make sure there's nothing that's going to catch my attention in a bad way.
Would that be something that you'd fix in more production work, or would you actually have to re-record something to make it?
Usually with that, I don't do a whole lot of re-recording or punching in as they used to do with tape. I don't usually go and add anything once I've done it. Like I'll play something through multiple times, and sometimes then I'll compile the best bits, that kind of idea. But I often won't fix a single thing or a single note. If I fix anything, it's just through editing and removing it. But I rarely add anything. So I want to make sure everything is tight and in time the way I want it to sound. But if something just doesn't quite cut it for me, or there's a weird noise that I'm hearing, whatever it might be, I've got to eliminate that before it's good enough. So it doesn't mean the song's going to be good necessarily. It just means there won't be anything glaring on it that will drive me crazy.
Technically perfect.
Yeah.
Artistically.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you're doing these quality assurance tests in your car, is this when you're driving, or do you take time to sit in your car in the driveway, just listening to the sound as it comes out of the car speakers?
It's generally when I'm driving.
As you're driving?
Although occasionally I have, in a parking lot or whatever, just waiting around, just, I'll listen to it, and then I'll have a little notepad sometimes and write down things I want to change. The song title will be like, boost bass, eliminate guitar part at 3 minutes and 10 seconds, or whatever it might be, things like that. But I find my editing as I've done this more, is more about taking things out. So I'll throw all kinds of stuff in there, because the earliest Raoul stuff is crammed full of crazy effects and noises, and it's neat and everything. But the stuff I've done more recently, it's much more spare, as I'm learning just to kind of subtract instead of just add all the time.
I think that novel editors and newspaper editors would agree with that. Editing is the art of taking things out.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'm starting to I think getting fairly adept at that, and not treating anything as being too.
Have you reused stuff from previous songs to embellish newer sons?
No. I thought I might do something like that, because I'll still have access to all of the stuff I've edited, even though, I may not use it. So I could go back and grab a horn bit that I didn't use, for example, and put it somewhere else. But most often, if I start playing something fresh and it sounds, okay, I know what this is, it's either an existing song by somebody else, or it's close enough to something that it's recognizable, or it's something I've already done, then I'll try to do something different as much as I can.
Right. So there's nothing coming up in the way of live performances, and new EP releases are still a distance off.
Yeah, like I've got two that are, I got one that's mostly ready. It's just kind of waiting some more production from my friend Jim to kind of wrap that one up. The other one is mostly done. The more hard rocking one just needs to get a few more vocal tracks laid down. But and I got a couple new songs actually in the works, but they're not quite ready yet either. But they have some trumpet on and a couple things. I'm not sure which direction.
Not even finished recording those yet.
No, there's still a couple. They're 90% done. Two more songs, but I don't really have enough. I like to have at least 4 or 5 songs for a new project to put it out.
Okay. And you work with them together all as a lump, or do you do them sequentially, one at a time?
Oh, that's a good question. Kind of all a bit of both. So I'll have some song I'm working on, and if I just kind of get stuck, or I don't know where to go with this exactly, then I'll just start with another drum track and see where that one goes. And so by the time I have something released, I have like 5 tabs open on my browser. Here's, this song, next song, whatever it might be, and I'll kind of go back and forth and, okay, what do I have to fix here? So I kind of I guess the production is done as a little bit of a piece, so they're all kind of together.
Okay.
And then I try to put the same, I run it through the same sort of mastering software and things like that as well, so it'll have a cohesive sound as much as
Okay.
possible. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
levels are kind of,
Consistent. Yeah.
get consistent with
Yeah.
one another and that kind of thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I know that if I were doing production work, I couldn't keep two different pieces of music in my head at the same time to work on
Yeah.
them together.
So I'll definitely, focus on one and kind of go through as much as I can
Yeah.
till I think that's done. Then I'll move to something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a bit difficult to switch back and forth.
How long does it take you? I mean, from the time you finished composing and recording all the different parts, how long does it take you to do the post-production?
I can have things like for a single song. It depends if it's going fairly well. I could have most of it done in about a week
Okay.
or less,
Okay, that's-
because I can lay things down pretty quick. 'Cause I'm a fairly competent bass player, so that part's okay. So I can get that going. I'm pretty happy with that. It's the other stuff that takes a lot of time, and I find it's best too with the horns and the guitar. The two examples is just lay down a bunch of tracks, and then just walk away for a day. Because I get pretty
Really?
obsessive with that stuff. If I just sit
Okay.
there, I won't be able to tell the difference after a while. Your ears get tired.
Yeah, I suppose.
And I'll go back the next day and think, okay, I like this, or I like this better than I thought I did. So there's some, I always call letting it marinate. So sometimes you think,
Okay.
all right, this is better than I thought it was at the time. So I'm glad I didn't erase this or do whatever, because it sounds good today. I didn't like it yesterday. That kind of idea. The opposite can be true as well.
So when you cut the CD, do the quality assurance in the car.
Yeah.
And what happens then? How do you actually go about distributing and getting people to listen?
Well, the program that I use is called it's called Lander, Landr, and it's fantastic. And there's an upfront fee for it, but there's different sort of tiers and all of this. But the way it kind of works, once your songs are done, you run it through your own mastering software as best you can. You've kind of got this thing all set. It sounds pretty good. The mix is good, to your best of your ability. I played on the different settings, as I mentioned, at home, in the car, that kind of thing. Run it past a couple other people for any comments. And then you run it through this mastering software on Lander, which is another sort of layer. And it's fantastic. You can just tell it's what sort of sound you're after, and it kind of levels everything out for you. It does the right amount of compression and stuff like that. And then there's the option to release it, and you put in all the it's called the metadata and everything associated with the tracks,
good.
and
Yes,
your
yes.
name and all that, the author and all that
There
stuff.
are a remarkable number of music submissions that we get that don't put in the metadata.
Oh yeah, and it's so important. That's
Yeah.
how you identify things, your fingerprint, and register everything with SOCAN and that kind of idea. And then with this Lander thing, you just you press your button, and it uploads everything, and then your artwork and everything else, and it just sends it off to all of the different streaming services and everything else. I mean, for a fee, of course, and
Okay.
and then it's out there.
Okay. And how do you find the streaming services? Are they lucrative?
No. I think the last release, I guess the last two, the Ponysapien, the Fait album, and then the Raoul Santodomingo, the latest two, I think between the two, I've got like almost 1,000 Spotify streams, which seems like a lot, but it's not. I think that got me a total of $1.77.
That sounds about right for Spotify. Yeah.
So I mean, there's no real, I don't do it for the money, obviously, anyway. And then of course SOCAN, so that'll throw a couple of dollars your
Yeah.
way as well. But I've done this for decades, and I might have $100 to show for
Right.
it. So it's not about the money,
Right.
obviously, but it is, it's very satisfying in so many other ways.
Yeah. I guess you need to get picked up by a major label or a major artist to cover one of your songs to really hit it big.
Yeah. Any day now, I think.
Well, we'll continue to play Raoul Santodomingo and Ponysapien and Fait on the radio,
Excellent.
and then hopefully you'll hit the big time soon.
Hey, it's just a matter of minutes.
Yeah. I'd like to play one more song. I think we have time for one more before the end of the hour. From the new Raoul Santodomingo Experience album, I think it is anyway, the track called Ponysapien. Any things on that you can...
No, I like the name for this one before the Ponysapien stuff came out. I just like it. Sounds like a galloping kind of horse, I think is why I chose that anyway.
Ponysapien, like smart horses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
right.
okay.
Half horse, half human.
All right. From Raoul Santodomingo Experience, the song called Ponysapien. song called Ponysapien by the Raoul Santodomingo Experience before Raoul Santodomingo became Ponysapien. And all along he's been Jeff Appel.
And who knows who I'm going to be next? I don't know. It could be anything.
Could be anything. See what comes out when the next albums get released.
That's right. I'm sure it'll be two different names entirely.
Yeah. That definitely had Ponysapien sounds to it. So when I listen to the Ponysapien album, it sounds similar to what we were just listening to.
Yeah.
And lots of sequencer in that.
Yeah, there's quite a bit in there, and that's one of the sort of secret weapons, I suppose, when you're not a actual keyboard player. I mean, I have my moments here and there, but just being able to add some sound effects and different sorts of atmospheric bits with the keys really tends to flesh things out. I do most of the upfront sort of writing on the bass, and so I mean that's fantastic and everything. I do enjoy that, but then I find it's not always giving the lead melody, that kind of idea. Like it's holding the rhythm down. There's some interest there in that kind of idea. So that's why oftentimes I'll have a second bass track doing a bit of a lead sort of sound, or add the guitar just to kind of flesh things out too. But so the keys are always a nice addition for sure.
So as a bass player, how many basses do you have?
Just one.
Oh, really?
Well, I had two for a long, long time, and finally sold the other one. But yeah, just I've got a Music Man bass. It's a great one. I really, really enjoy it. And I haven't changed the strings in probably 25 years, which I've heard is actually not a terrible thing. It sounds awful. I mean, the bass sounds great, but it sounds awful not to change your strings. But there's lots of players who will kind of swear by that, just to kind of, they want them a little bit dead to get that kind of deeper sound.
Right. And you've got that unique bass guitar sound, which I really enjoy. So I hope you come out with the next album, Radio Waterloo. This has been the recording for the 8th of June 2026. My name is Bob Jonkman. CKMS Community Connections is a production of Radio Waterloo, sponsored by Radio Waterloo, executive producer Jennifer Strong. We air every Monday at 3 p.m., alternate Fridays at 3 p.m. I'll be back next week.